Congratulations, class of 2013. You're your moms and dads' babies, and I salute them and all of your family and friends. This is your special day. My chair, Dr. Gatsby, and her husband, Dr. Beach, expect their little girl very soon. Caleb and Solomon are her two brothers, and they can't wait to welcome her. But class of 2013, you have already arrived. You are about ready to sail to the deepest parts of the sea. I'm excited for all of you, and I thank Dr. Gatsby for this opportunity. Just this week, I was notified that I was to receive an award today at the graduation. Later, I was invited to speak to you. So this moment of my being honored is made particularly special because it is your day, your moment, your celebration, and you're letting me share it with you. Thank you. When I retired 2 years ago, I wanted to jump in jubilation for having succeeded in convincing my department to let me move on unceremoniously. I really felt good about that, seriously. I won. That was a tremendous victory. But 2 years later, they had the last word. Truth be told, I only accepted this occasion to be able to say a few words about your wife. That's the story. And then I'll talk a little bit advice to the class. Who helped you, class of 2013, get to where you are today? We are all interested to know. Here on earth, God's works must surely be our own. That's what John Fitzgerald Kennedy said in 1961, January 20th. Those were the last of his inaugural words. Here on earth, God's work must surely be our own. If great things are to be done, they must be done by us ordinary people. God put special people in our lives, starting, of course, with our parents, grandparents, etc. And He put a lot of other people in there, too, to help us. For me, that special person was, and it is my dear wife, Annette, whom God sent to rescue me. And in a few weeks, she and I will celebrate 55 years of marriage. As my high school sweetheart, Annette steered me away from one of my best buddies in the nick of time before he ended up on the chain gang and being shot to death by a guard, supposedly because he was trying to escape. Annette was the first to go to college and made it look so easy her first year. So I joined her. But only after a few weeks I was about ready to withdraw because my classes were too difficult. She prevailed upon me to stick with it, and I ended up second in my graduating class of 250. Living together, some in my extended family, sadly, are in prison for life. Others became kindergarten teachers, full colonels in the Army, lawyers. One of Jacksonville's finer home builders, preachers, and yet another this June 1st, will become chief medical officer in Bermuda. God put Annette in my life, and she has been an amazing source of inspiration. Even though she has a brutal illness, and I am her full-time caretaker, she has succeeded in making these last years some of my most enjoyable. I understand that it is God's plan that we're all terminal. Not a single one of us in this room today is going to get out alive. We are all afflicted with what I call LIT debt. LIT would stand for life is terminal. Anna and I are happy and expect to spend many good quality years together. I would like for her to stand and be recognized. When I was a student at Oberlin College, professors were especially kind and supportive of me. I stand here because my African American Studies department was the most welcoming home. And Dr. Gadsden has been so hardworking, even with child. Thanks. I stand here because as a professor of Oberlin College, I was helped by my colleagues outside my home department. I thank each one heartily. I stand here because I had so many excellent students who were often a lot more charitable toward me than I toward them. I was fortunate to have many outstanding students, one of whom paid her way just to be here today, fly out tomorrow. And I think I'd like to further stand Dr. Kiva Sullivan Harper of Atlanta, Georgia, and Oberlin College. Here, please. I stand here because I had and have so many very kind and special friends. About my family, I made very clear emails, very clear written. Don't come up here. And when I said that, before everybody went to come. And one group of them was in the airport last night for 14 hours in Atlanta. Trying to get back from Atlanta. 14 hours. And I would like all of my family from Jacksonville and Indianapolis just to stand right here. These are my nephews. Please stand. I stand because I had to have many special friends here in Oberlin. The Millettes, the Millers, there are just so many people who are so kind to me. And my family, Francis Walker, Slocum, and there are others, just special people, Mayor Herndon. I forget somebody, but they're so wonderful, and I just thank them all. Okay, class of 2013. Listen, I have this huge cake that I sliced into many pieces and started sharing with people to whom I am indebted. I ended up with no cake, so instead of being in the black, I'm totally in the red. I'll never repay the people who helped me experience this day and so much joy in my life. Class of 2013, like me, you could not have gotten where you are if it were not for a lot of people, perhaps just ordinary people helping you. Most of you may be in a lot of financial debt. At least I was when I graduated. You are a lot more financially in debt than I. Your tuition is close to $50,000 a year. When I was enrolled in Oberlin College, I only paid $1,500 a year. $1,500 a year. Yours $50,000, just about. But don't worry, you're going to make a lot of money to be able to pay all back the interest. Here are five of the more important of my ideas and thoughts. One, I believe that God wants all his precious babies in this whole wide world to be forever happy. I believe that God is a spirit, manifesting himself only in that spirit, only in that which is good. I believe that, as President Kennedy said, here on earth, God's workmanship should be our own. I believe that the conditions required to keep a baby alive, healthy, happy, and content suggest what is good for all of us. So much stuff we have we just don't need. And finally, I believe that to whom much is given, much is expected. I have given a lot, and you have been given a lot. But how can so much be expected of us when just 150 years ago we were slaves, owned by others, at best treated like cats and dogs, at worst like hogs and cows, subject to be slaughtered at will? A slave whose father wrote, basically, while I was a slave, I was groping in the dark. No ray of light penetrating the intense gloom surrounding me. My scanty garments felt too tight for me. My very respiration seemed to be restrained by some supernatural power. Now free, as I supposed, I felt like a bird on a pleasant May morning. Instead of the darkness of slavery, my eyes were almost blinded by the light of freedom. Yes, we made it through those dreadful, hopeless days of enslavement. Just as our nation has its George Washington Patrick Henrys to thank for its freedom, we blacks have our democracies and their turners. Together and united, blacks and whites, Native Americans, Hispanics, Asians, and others, we have forged the world's greatest nation. It's our unity that makes us the United States, and it's Dr. King's soul that keeps us marching on. It's your moms and dads' dreams of your becoming the best person that you can become. And it is our dream that together as Americans, we can make our country and world a lot better. We blacks are no longer physically enslaved in America. Yes, we celebrate the Emancipation Proclamation issued by Lincoln in 1863, 150 years ago, but it did not free all slaves. But by the time Malcolm X and Dr. King left us, and the 4 little black girls had been killed in Birmingham, we were no longer enslaved physically. Instead of the pain of slavery, we enjoy the comfort of freedom. Instead of poverty of slavery, we have the bountifulness of liberty. Instead of the hopelessness of slavery, we have the grandeur of hope. Sadly, I must admit that while we are not physically enslaved, too many of us are enslaved to food, enslaved to drugs, enslaved to materialism, enslaved to self-hatred. What's self-hatred? I don't know for sure, but there is something going on when you are Tiger Woods and you can only find 15 to 20 bombs to cheat on your wife with. No blacks, no Koreans, no Chinese, just bombs. Now, in 1954, even here, 15 years old, was killed for supposedly whistling at a white lady in Mississippi. He was from Chicago. His bad Eagle's body was found several days later at the bottom of the river in Mississippi. Some may say, well, from Emmett Till to Tiger Woods, we made progress. Well, I don't know about that. Yes, it's 2013. We have a black president. Some are saying we in the post-racist period of America, that racism, like the horse and buggy era, is long gone. But before we begin boasting, be aware that things are afoot to try to remove Obama from office. But what a few Americans in America don't understand is that in this class of 2013, we have many more Obamas, and definitely Michelle, ready to become the second, third, and even 10th black president.
Amen.
There's no stopping us now. Albert Einstein, considered by many to be the world's greatest genius. But I'm absolutely certain that as we get rid of discrimination and injustice, we will find so many more Einsteins in the human genetics pool of this world. God loves us all. He never would have given us Hurricane Sandy, the killers of Sandy Hook, or the deadly tornadoes in Oklahoma, without giving us geniuses to solve those problems. Never would God give us cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, without giving us geniuses to conquer those illnesses. I fully submit to you that we have not been abandoned here on earth by God. He loves us too much to have done that. But here on earth, God's work must surely be our own. Now, I don't want you to rush out in 5 minutes and try to get a head start on having more babies to increase the gene pool. That's not what I'm talking about. To do God's work here on earth, we just have to do good things and have good thoughts. Think right now how much you love your family, your friends, how grateful you are to all of them. That's a God-like behavior, and it's doing God's work here on earth, though it was just a thought. God gives us credit sometimes for just trying to do what's good. And when we have good thoughts about good things, we are doing God's work here on earth. Now, I have big, grandiose thoughts like Dr. King, like Obama, like Al Sharpton, but here on earth, God's work must truly be our own. Think of a world free of racism, free of sexism, free of oppression, to do God's work to eradicate those ills. Think of a world where there is no black on black crime in Chicago. And think even bigger, where there is no black on black slaughter in any part of Africa, where today the count of killings goes into the millions. Then to do God's work here on earth to stop those killings and those murders. Think of a world that seems to be exactly how you picture heaven. where every day is Sunday, and we're living in harmony, peace, rest, cool, beautiful. Think of heaven, and think of working for that kind of world here on this earth. Class of 2013, don't be afraid to think big. Imagine announcing to all your family and friends today that you are changing your name to who you have to live and will be president of the United States in the next 20 years.
All right.
That's about the size of the obstacle Obama faced. First grade, weird name, no money, but rich in self-confidence that he could become a person who will do God's work here on earth. Think big, but commit yourselves to actually doing a lot of small, seemingly insignificant things like taking very good care of yourselves physically and mentally, like remembering to do something good for others. That's what my friend Bob Weinstock did. Bob died 6 or 7 years ago. Made a check out to Oberlin College, -wave each year, whatever amount. And because he was a physicist and not a professor, he made himself available 24/7. Just ask way back Kareem, who was one of Oberlin College's first blacks to graduate in physics. And he went on to get a PhD at MIT in physics. It's like our board of trustees in the chair, Clyde McGregor, in establishing the Williams Scholarship here in Oberlin. A scholarship that allows any number of students finishing Oberlin High School to come here and not have to pay that almost $50,000 a year. That's what the board did, if they can get in. So what we have to do, and we're trying to do in the WAVE program, is reach children when they are in kindergarten, first grade, even moving the mothers to get them ready to become eligible for those scholarships. Because there's work, God's work needs to be done.
Yes, it does.
Well, and then we can look at Donna and Stuart Cole, who built the Cole building, or who contributed mightily to the building, that beautiful building, the Cole building. We can look at them. That's a beautiful jazz building. And jazz, 4-letter word, was indeed a 4-letter word back in the early 70s. Oh, you dare not pronounce that word, jazz, not in this building. But Wendell Logan and planned for a vision, Professor Wendell Logan, the late Professor Wendell Logan. And most of us here know about how great Wendell Logan was, so I'm not going to dwell on that at all. He was an outstanding person. But I'm going to take his words. He stood up here himself just before, almost 2 months before he passed away, right here, weakened. But he summoned the energy to speak to an auditorium with jam-packed with people, all here to honor him and his legacy, because at that time, 3 years ago, the building had been built. He hadn't moved into it, but there it was. But Wendell Logan said something that was just touching to my heart, because he so publicly paid tribute to his dear Betty Logan. What he said was, it wasn't just, I thank my wife, so saw it. He said, in effect, and I quoted her last night. I never mentioned to this, but I called, I said, do you know what Wendell said? She thought for a second, and she did remember this. What Wendell said was, if it weren't for Betty Logan, and I'm telling everyone who reminds Wendell, oh, he would have gone someplace else. He would not have stayed here. He was ready to go back in the 70s. He was so fed up with all this stuff, or whatever he had to go through with, he was ready to leave. And Betty Logan had a vision. She could see something that Wendell could see. He couldn't see it. She said, no, let's stay here. Let's stay here. And Wendell stayed. This is 72, 73, 74. And look what we have now. All of you get a chance to visit that beautiful jazz building. So let me ask you to stand again. Stand again, Betty Logan, please. Stand again, Betty. That's Betty Logan. That's Betty Logan. That's Betty Logan. I can tell you, Betty and Wendell, and my wife and that, and I all went to FAMU. But I knew Wendell. Wendell was an outstanding football player at FAMU. He got gone pro. He was a tremendous football player. I mean, that brother could knock these walls down when necessary. Oh yes, and he didn't hesitate to convey what he would do
The people respect him for his music as well as what he meant, what he said. Yes, he did. Praise the Lord. Just let me say this, and I'm going to stop. We are at Memorial Day now. Memorial Day weekend. Friends and family, we're here to honor the Black graduates, class of 2013. Yes, they studied at Oberlin College because they are the best. They are the best, the class of 2013. Like Harriet Tubman, Pam Brooks, Francis Walker Sloan, Carol Jackson Smith, Ida Eden Shopley. This class of 2013 are fighters. Yeah, like Frederick Douglass, James Millett, A.G. Miller, Brenda Grill Miller, Clovis White. These people in the class of 2013, they're smart. They know how to get things done. Listen, what did our brave men and women die for? We celebrate Memorial Day tomorrow. If not, so that all Americans can have health care, could have a chance to get an education, get a job, have a level playing field. They died so that the streets of Chicago will be saved, so that there won't be any more Katrinas, and so that the whole world one day can enjoy the America that our forefathers and mothers could only dream about. Yes, you on earth, God's work will surely be our own. The class of 2013, you will always hit the lottery and will never be unemployed if you accept the challenge and embrace the responsibilities that you have to make, or try to make all those dreams come true. But especially those of the poor and all those less fortunate than you. Your parents hit the lottery the day you were born. Today